Hello, my name is Peter Ogilvie, and I've been assigned Joshua chapter 15. And as I look at Joshua chapter 15, I see that it is full of places and towns and cities that I've never been to and I can barely pronounce. But the thing about Joshua chapter 15 is all of this time the Israelites were to conquer the land. They were commanded to do so, and not everybody was able to do it. And many took their time, but some went right to it. But the promise was to Abraham and his descendants that this land would be theirs, and the promise and the instruction was given to Moses, who also gave it to Joshua. And it said in chapter 1, God commanded Joshua to be strong and courageous. I will give you every place where you set your foot, as I promised Moses. Your territory will extend from the desert to Lebanon, from the great river Euphrates, all the Hittite country, to the great sea on the west. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. You will lead this people to inherit the land I swore to their forefathers to give them. Be strong and very courageous. If it was just a matter of dividing up land and getting a surveyor and cutting a boundary mark, maybe it wouldn't have been so hard. But these people had to conquer this land. They had to go in. There were all these kings for every territory. There was a king, there was an army, there were men, women, children, animals, towns that were pillaged. They would have to be overcome. But the promise God gave to them is that he would drive them out. He would do it. If they would just take the initiative, he would take care of it. In chapter 13, the Lord says to Joshua, says to Joshua, you are very old, and there are very large areas of land to be taken over. As for the inhabitants of the mountain region, from Lebanon to Misrephoth, Maim, the Sidonians, I myself will drive them out before the Israelites. He's saying, I'll do it. It's there for your taking. Just go ahead and do it. Be sure to allocate this land to Israel for an inheritance, as I have instructed you to divide it as an inheritance among the tribes. So here it is. Take it. Go ahead and do it. As you read through chapter 15, you find there are some interesting things that I pulled out of it that would entail needing to be strong and very courageous. One part I found was pretty interesting is that in chapter 15, verse 14, he says that from Hebron, Caleb drove out the three Anakites, Shishai, Ahiman, and Talmai, descendants of Anak. And what's interesting about the sons of Anak is that they were the giants of the land. You remember in the story in Numbers where Moses sends out the spies, 12 spies into the land. Well, 2 of them came back. They carried all this fruit, and they said, yeah, sons of Anak are there, so what? But the other 10, they said, there's giants in the land. Well, these are those giants that were spied out on, that they discovered. But here's Caleb. Caleb was one of those mighty men. Caleb and Joshua were the 2 men that God blessed to be the successors to Moses. And Caleb has some guts. So he drives out the sons of Anak. Now, you got to remember, at this point, he's an old man. Both he and Joshua are old men at this point in the story. And then, once he drives the sons of Anak out, the sons that belong to Anak are another people called Kiriath Sepher. And Caleb said, I will give, at this point, he's an old man. He's probably saying, I'm tired. These people can take the land because God's going to give it to them. But he says, I will give my daughter Aksah in marriage to the man who attacks and captures Kiriath Sepher. And then it says, Othniel, son of Kenaz, Caleb's brother, took it. So Caleb gave his daughter Aksah to him in marriage. So at this point he's saying, I will give, it looks like he's saying, well, maybe these Anak, sons of Anakim, were strong, they're giants. I did it. The people that I charge to do it will do it. I'm going to give my daughter in marriage to. So he does that as a reward, I guess you would. But there's a if you look throughout this chapter, you see that the people weren't all able to drive out the people of the land. It says in chapter 15, verse 63, in the desert, Judah could not dislodge the Jebusites who were living in Jerusalem. To this day, the Jebusites lived there with the people of Judah. And that was the threat the whole time. If they don't dislodge them, then they are breaking the covenant. They are breaking the commandment that God had given to them to drive them out. And sure, they would be snares in the land. There's a little piece here that it says that the Lord says in chapter 1, I will give you every place where you set your foot as I promised. And it says, as long as you will live all the days of your life, no one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. Well, as soon as Joshua, later on in the next few chapters, Joshua's going to go home to be with the Lord. He's going to die. And you're going to see the peoples all around begin to move in on the people of Israel, the ones that were not dislodged. And on, you're going to see that happening. But it is an amazing book. You might have to tough through this part. It's a little bit dry. But each word has a meaning. Each town has a meaning. Each descendant has a meaning. So take some time to even go deeper if it's something that you would like to do. It's pretty interesting how deep it goes. But anyway, I do see from this book the practical application is that God tells you to do it. He's going to be there to meet you to do it. There's no need to be afraid, and whatever that is in the practical and in the natural realm. So thank you for allowing me to share. Take care.